Hey guys, if you're enjoying the content that I'm making, please click that subscribe button. Also remember to click that bell button and make sure to tick that box to send all notifications so you don't miss out on any videos. With that in mind, let's get on with the video. What's up guys, welcome to Munchkins Gaming, where we take your gaming to the next level. This is Munchkins logging in to bring you another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. And in this video we're going to be concentrating on the latest character event for Kuja, and this video again will be concentrating on the level 80 EX quests. So we're gonna start this off with some general tips and guides, then we'll go through breaking down the fight wave by wave. So let's get on with this video. Okay, we're gonna start off with the general tips and guides, and my first tip for you guys is to save about 90% of your abilities on the boss fight, basically on the last wave. Because this is a 5-wave fight, you gotta try and save as much of your abilities as possible. My second tip is to bring in the boosted characters such as Kuja, Yuna, and Setzer. They're definitely going to be helpful in this fight. It's one of the hardest fights I think I've done, and other characters to consider are again Vaughn, Aiko, Prish, Papalimo, Kater, Ash, and of course let's not forget the god Saz. You can also bring Aerith here as well, since you can revive your characters if you want to. The only problem is you will get a lot of statuses, so just be mindful of that. The next tip for you guys is to take advantage of the boss's multiple weaknesses. Now, if you don't know the weaknesses and abilities, I would suggest try and go back into one of my older videos, which is from the level 70 COOP quest, where I covered all of these abilities and weaknesses, and I will leave the description down below so you guys can go in there if you really want to find out what sort of abilities that the boss has. And as for support, I believe Vaughn seems to be the best one out there, although any of these suggested characters that I put up there can also work. Just have to have a good synergy with your team, that's all. The next tip for you guys is to actually bring in healers and brave batteries. As I mentioned, Aiko and Aerith are one of the two. Penelo of course can do a bit of that as well, although she is lacking a 35 CP weapon, I do believe. Can't remember if they actually released her 35 CP weapon, can't remember. But definitely if you don't have Aerith's 35 CP weapon, because it's obviously not on at the time of this recording, it's not on any of the banners, then Aiko's probably the best one, and I believe Aiko's one is currently not on at the moment as well. However, it was released twice now, so you had 2 chances to get it. So that's all I can tell you guys. The next tip for you guys is to try not to kill the weedlets when she summons them. She will use photosynthesis and she will heal herself, just like in the level 70 co-op. As for the summon, I do believe using Ifrit is the best one by far, and if you really want a higher score, you can use Ifrit early on in the fight, and I actually suggest you doing that. And that's because from my experience, when I summon Ifrit when the Mother Weed summons the weedlets, I just feel like you just get overwhelmed by a lot of statuses and whatnot afterwards, which means you can't really pile on the damage that you actually want to do. And early on you got about 4 free hits basically, and you have a ton of time to actually do a ton of damage as much as possible. When the weedlets come, that's when things get hairy, so I do suggest you guys trying to summon Ifrit a little bit earlier on. Alright, now I think that's it for my general tips and guides. Let's try to analyze this fight wave by wave. Okay, so for the first wave, we're gonna be taking down 2 sweepers and 1 white. Now, this is the first wave is actually the most trickiest one out of, I suppose, out of the 4 waves. At 4 waves out of 5, because this is where you try and set up your characters, and there is a chance, depending on how good your turn rate is, depending on that, you can get HP damage here early on, and you don't really want that to happen. And actually on this try, I actually had the worst like turn order, so I was like, oh man, I don't think I'm gonna be able to do this. I had to actually use smite early on here, which is not something I want to do, and it's not something that I usually do. I usually save my smite towards the final boss as much as I can so I can pile on the damage. So something like this happening, it's probably a bad omen, but definitely try and pull through, because in this fight I managed to pull through. Anyway, let's get on with the second wave. In the second wave, it's pretty easy. You just get access to 1 sweeper and 1 miniature Magitech armor. Now this one's pretty easy. Just when you break the Magitech armor, it permanently, well, not permanently, but it goes down to the ground, and its turn order will be all the way back, so you can definitely kill it as fast as you can kill the sweeper. Usually 2 HP attacks is enough when you're about max of your brave. So that's it. Third wave is the Vanguard Magitech armor, something that we have covered here in the past, and just like the Magitech armor, once you break it, it will fall down to the ground, giving you access to a lot of brave attacks. Now normally I would just use my normal brave attacks here. If you are using SAS, there is a chance you might want to just use your HP attack, since it does a brave plus an HP damage. But other than that, this shouldn't be a problem at all. When it does get up, it does use disaster beam, so it's just something to think about, but nothing to, to worry about at all. So we'll go ahead and skip this and go to wave 4. Alright, so wave 4 is much the same as the first wave. Basically, you get 2 sweepers and a white here. But now your characters are all set up, so it shouldn't be a problem. And yeah, let's skip to the final wave. So the final wave is, of course, the Mother Weed, and it's level 81. Has tons of HP. Tons and tons of HP. This is probably going to be one of the hardest fights, and it was hard even though I had SAS. Now, I do want to say, for party composition wise, the most replaceable on my current party here is Kuja. You don't need Kuja to win this fight. You just need a very good DPS character with a high max brave, and can dish out a ton of brave damage as well. Kuja is nice here because he is a boosted character, so we do get access to 50% more of his stats. Aiko is the next one that's replaceable. You can definitely use Yuna here. As a matter of fact, I did use Yuna on my first couple of attempts, and I managed to actually beat this fight with SAS, Yuna, and Kuja. The only problem was I actually took too much damage, too much HP damage, so I never got the perfect, the perfect mission complete. So I missed out on one of them, but it is really much possible. Because of Yuna's Esuna, you can drag out the fight a little bit longer. But the main thing here, guys, is if you don't have SAS's 35 CP weapon, this might be a bit of a challenge. And it's something that I actually don't want to do. Now, if some people ask me to do this EX fight without SAS, oh man, that's gonna be painful. But if someone challenges me, I will try and do it. However, if no one tells me to do it, I just don't want to do it. I just don't want to do it. SAS is sort of irreplaceable in this one, just because of his ability to pretty much buff your characters and dish out as much damage as you can during the early stages of this fight. As you guys can see, I already summoned Ifrit here, and like I said, that summoning Ifrit at the early stages is probably the best choice here. As you guys can see, it's already down to red health, which is something that you want. You don't really want to prolong this fight. When it does summon the weedlets, that's where things get really dicey. And since it's gonna be using stench quite a lot as well after it summons the weedlets, then you're in for real trouble if you don't have Yuna here. I was actually praying that Vaughn, who was blinded, does not miss his attack. I was actually like, oh my god, please don't miss. Please don't miss. Please don't miss. Just at this moment, I was like, please don't miss. Please don't miss. And it misses. And then the next two more attacks, I kept praying. And I tried to use Aiko's HP regen to push out the blind, but it didn't. It did not push out the blind. So I was like, I'm about to lose this fight again. The same thing happened on my last attempt, actually. Now, one other thing for you guys to note here is when the mother weed, as you can see, the all attack, the background is gray. That means it's gonna attack you. When it's in like an orange tinge or tint, it will buff its allies. Just something to think about it. I never really noticed that until now, but when I noticed it, I was like, oh, so if it's an orange tint, that's basically a free attack for me. It will not attack all my party members. It will buff the enemies instead. And I was, as you guys can see there, I was so lucky that stench missed, and that was because of Vaughn's luminescence. It actually blinded him, even though it has a low resistance to blindness. It blinded it and it missed the stench. If that stench hits, it's game over. But yeah, this is one hell of a fight, guys. I really enjoyed it. I was up till 2 AM trying to do this fight. Decided I can't do it. I'll sleep on it. Woke up at like 6:30 in the morning and went on ahead and beat this thing. Oh, so tired. Anyway, guys, I think that's it for this video. Remember to click like, subscribe, and share this video if you find it helpful at all. As always, I'd like to hear from you guys. I want to hear your experience of this fight. Have you beaten it? And who was your team, or who were your characters that you use? Also, follow me on Facebook and on Twitter. This is Mushkins logging off, and I'll see you guys in the next level.